You know what I be thinking? It's like a random thought. It's like, you know how in before the flood, you weren't allowed to eat meat and shit. Like, I think that's, I think that's like because God was like I just made that. Like it's like I just made the cow. You know what I'm saying? I just made the chicken. Like, don't eat it yet. You know what I'm saying? Eat the fruits. I got your plants and shit. It's like when you get something new, you don't want to like fuck it up. It's like you want to enjoy looking at it and shit. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's why it's just like, no, don't be eating animals and shit. But then after a while, it's like, all right, I've enjoyed looking at the looking at my animals and shit. All right, y'all can eat them now. I think he was just taking pride in his work for a little bit, and then he was like, all right. I done seen it cluck enough. So after the flood, you know what I'm saying, it's like, you can eat them, it's fine. So, you know, blood, because again, there's life in the blood. When you do that shit, it's the same as like why motherfuckers you be doing that little blood magic shit, because your essence and your ancestors is in your DNA. And that's why I made the parallel, because there wasn't nobody teaching me shit. And I was like, huh. So when Jesus died, like, all of the prophets died with him on that cross. Because, so Jesus was the spirit. Bless you. Was the spirit working in tandem with them, like it coded them, right? Which Jesus was the Christ at that point. He was the essence of all of it. That's what I'll say, right? But his personality grew, right, guided by the Father. So every act that the prophets did was also Jesus doing it. It was a co-created thing. This is why Jesus was there at he was the twin to every prophet. Is literally what I'm saying. So because man was given the reins on earth and shit, it had to be done side by side. He can't break his own laws, right? So side by side, it was God and the Christ. I mean, man and the Christ, right? When Jesus was born, he was the full incarnation and culmination of all prophets into one singular being. So when he died, his lineage, plus his priestly, because he got the baptism from John the Baptist, his lineage, and then all of the prophets. So all of the prophets, that would have came from John. Because again, he had the priestly heritage, right? Jesus had the rulership, but because he had to go in order. This is why John was baptized in the belly, because they were cousins, and they were both born right at the same. They were both in the mother's womb at the same time. So the culmination, the seed was put into Mary, and then the priestly heritage was jumped into John, and because all of that goddamn weight, good Lord, like he had to really abstain from motherfuckers. So he had to go into the goddamn woods and live for his and eat fucking goddamn what was it, locusts and shit and bugs, because he couldn't really fuck with anybody else. This gave Jesus time to like live like a normal human being. And then when he got the baptism, that's when he got both of the responsibilities at the same time in order, right? So his flesh and his spirit were all crucified. But because it was holy, death could not overtake it. Neither his spirit nor his flesh. So, all of the prophets, which is really a lot of deities, which you got to make sense, because David said the same shit. It's like, do you not understand that you're gods? Like, you would have to manifest in this realm at some point, but they just couldn't remember. And the division between divinity and matter was so great because of the veil. It was like God was just like, oh my God, like I'm trying my best, but these people have roles and they can't remember. I'm gonna give them grace. We're gonna get you there. We're gonna get you to remember who the fuck you are, because I love you bastards. That's essentially what it was. So, so yeah. When that happened, boom. Now that the veil is broken, that energy can disperse, and now you can actually remember your past shit and gain access to it. And then, what does the Father do? The Father just doesn't stop creating. That's his motif. You know what I'm saying? That's his bread and butter. He wants to create new gods. So, y'all need to get to God. You know what I'm saying? Because there's a severe lack of divineness. And, you know, God speaks through like a whole bunch of mediums when it comes to me and shit. It's like with the little Avatar shit, it's like how the directors saw things. It's like it's directly equivalent to the spiritual pressure of the world. That shit, like I'm sure y'all caught on to that shit. Like some of y'all, the ones that had ears, you know what I'm saying, spiritual ears. And it's like, oh shit, the work being put in, it had to be done in order. There had to be an establishment. There had to be a fight. There had to be a struggle. There had to be a push to keep on pushing to up and raise the consciousness, the spiritual consciousness. Because what is God? God is source conscious. For a level of understanding to penetrate this realm, there has to be an accumulation of effort put in. You know what I'm saying? Consciousness isn't just arbitrary knowledge. It's divine design. It's deeper than all of that shit. So this is where you get that shit from. Christ consciousness is a real thing. Because it's you gaining your original spirit. And in this iteration, man was supposed to have the Spirit of God regardless. Right? Because in the other iterations, God was a distant, like Father God was a distant deity. He made the subsequent of the triad, right? Triune, trimute, whatever you want to call it, handled other responsibilities. They were him in a different format. But even he didn't know that at one point. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy. Because different timelines, like one iteration of him, it's almost like you're standing in right here, and you can go forward, you go left and right. Don't go backwards. That's death, right? So you got three choices. I can either create a realm where I know who I am. I can create a realm. So this he is creation, but in our times it'd be imagination, right? So I'm imagining, right, a realm where I already know, a realm where I don't know, and a realm where I will learn, right? He decides and picks a path. We make a choice too, right? We always have directions to go in life. him, he kind of does it simultaneously. So each one is real, and then they kind of like close out and like converge at the end. Is what I'm saying. So the different stories are just different iterations on how he just initiated the start. But he's life anyway, so it's just gonna culminate. Like, this is why you have different variations of the same story. Which one is true? And they're all true. This is what it is. Which one is the most stable will be the one that's real. You feel me? Because when they converge, he's making the most stable and structurally sound timeline. He's like, he's just dividing the workload to make it easier, like, because he can do that. He's him. You know what I'm saying? Like, so there you go. Another one.